Okay, so the spiritual and not religious people that became that way after being Christian because they don't like organized religion.
Okay.
What do you think that they're like what's the biggest thing that they missed?
Okay.
Like what did they not get that makes them try to go find it somewhere else?
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, and are you talking about like, the spiritual people that are just like they reject Christianity just completely?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Like what? Yeah.
Like they've left organized institutional religion, but they've also rejected the notion, the idea that Christ is the only way.
But they still want to be spiritual.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
What do you think? Why do you think that leap happened?
Yeah. Well, I think that leap could happen for a few different reasons.
Okay.
I've got people in my mind that I'm kind of, thinking of and why they ended up choosing the path they did.
And they would consider themselves spiritual and not religious people?
Correct.
Okay. And they tell you that?
Correct.
Oh,
100%. Okay. And so like, I know some, man, just church just was so...
Names.
I'm not giving names. But church was so ritualistic.
Okay.
That they just were like, no, that's not it. Like, all they saw was the form of religion, Okay. And so...
And they must have felt nothing while doing any of the rituals.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, where for some people, right, those kind of ritual acts actually lend itself to like connecting you to the Lord. For others, like, that was a person I'm probably thinking about in my head in particular, they were just like, nope, like, felt nothing, all just a bunch of acts, I'm out. But then sometimes that coincides with the fact that, parents are taking their kids to church and they're going to church and they're asking their kids to participate in these, liturgical acts. But then you go home and the parents are acting all religious, quote unquote, there, but they're not acting religious, quote unquote, Monday through Saturday. Right. Or Sunday through, Friday.
So I need something to fill my weeks.
Yeah. And they're going there, they're doing that. But then at home, there's nothing overly spiritual or religious maybe going on. And so they're just like, no, that's not, like my parents go there, they do that with my grandparents, but I'm out. Right. So I do think that's there. I think you've got church hurt, you've got church abuse, the things we've talked about before, where like, you're like, no, this is, in organized institutional religion, there's corruption, there's failure, there's a chance to get hurt, there's a chance to be abused. I don't want any part of that. I don't trust them, but there are individuals that are like, man, I really like Jesus and I really do not like the church.
Yeah.
Right. And so they would go on what they would consider maybe a spiritual journey, but without any kind of connection to religion or or at least to organized religion.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think those are some of the things that cause individuals to go away from the church. And I say that, and I think also maybe you get like exposed to certain different things, right? Like maybe you grew up in church and maybe there was no big issues and you go off to college and you're with some friends or with some classmates and they're like, hey, come do this with us. And that experience seems to trump any experience you had before.
Okay.
And you're like, it's kind of like eyes open and you're like, oh.
So then you go chasing that?
Yeah, then you go chasing that because you're like, oh, that was a way better experience than I've had in church,
Right.
Or I felt closer to God, quote unquote, closer to God here doing that than I did over there doing this. So let's go this way.
Okay.
And again, I think what happens is we end up chasing feelings or emotions or experiences, and not always chasing truth.